I sat in the private dining room at Gibson's Steakhouse in Chicago, watching my entire family celebrate my college graduation. My parents, Richard and Patricia Morrison, sat at the head of the table. My younger sister Emily, 19 years old and smiling too wide, sat beside her fiancé Brandon. 3 aunts, 2 uncles, and 4 cousins filled the other seats. The room had dark wood paneling and a crystal chandelier, white tablecloths, leather chairs. Everyone had champagne. Everyone looked happy. I had been working toward this moment for 4 years, graduating with a computer science degree from University of Illinois Chicago, debt-free because I worked campus IT support and freelance web design the entire time. $19 an hour fixing professors' laptops. $40 an hour tutoring computer science students. Weekend projects building websites for small businesses. Every dollar went into savings. My mother stood up and clinked her glass with a fork. The sharp ring cut through the conversation. The room went quiet. I thought she was going to give a toast. Instead, she looked directly at me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We wanted to do this in front of the family," she said. Her voice was calm, measured, almost cheerful. "So everyone understands. You're no longer our son anymore." I didn't move. The table stayed silent. My Aunt Rebecca looked down at her plate. My Uncle Mark shifted in his seat but said nothing. My cousin Daniel stared at his water glass like it held answers. Mom continued like she was reading a grocery list. "You've made it clear over the years that you don't value this family. You chose your path. We're choosing ours. You're not part of it." Dad nodded once. Didn't say a word. Just let her do the work. His arms crossed, his face blank. Emily raised her phone. The camera pointed straight at my face. She wasn't even trying to hide it. Held it vertically. Recording. I could see the red dot in the corner of her screen. My mother kept going. "And just so we're clear, you won't be at Emily's wedding. You're not family. You have no place there." Brandon looked uncomfortable. He glanced at Emily, then at me, then back down at his steak. His fork scraped against the plate. He didn't say anything. Nobody defended me. Nobody said a word. Not one person at that table looked me in the eye. I folded my napkin and set it on the table, stood up, grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair and picked up my phone and keys. My mother watched me with her arms crossed, chin up, satisfied. I didn't say anything. Not one word. I just walked out of that private room, through the main dining area, and out the front door. The cold Chicago night air hit my face. Late March wind off Lake Michigan cut through my jacket. I could see my breath. I walked across the parking lot to my car, a 12-year-old Honda Civic I bought myself 2 years ago for $4,000 cash. Silver paint faded on the hood. 163,000 miles on the odometer. My hands shook when I gripped the steering wheel. I sat there for 5 minutes, breathing slowly, staring at the dashboard. The parking lot lights cast orange shadows across the windshield. Then my phone buzzed. Instagram notification. Emily had already posted the video. I opened it. The clip was 22 seconds long. It showed my mother's speech from "You're no longer our son" to the moment I stood up and left. The angle was perfect. My face clearly visible. My silence. My exit. Emily had captioned it. "Sometimes you have to cut toxic people out, even if they're blood. Family first. Always." 3 red heart emojis at the end. The video already had 47 likes. I scrolled through the comments. My cousin Sarah had posted a heart emoji. One of Emily's sorority sisters wrote, "So proud of you for setting boundaries." I took 3 screenshots, video, caption, timestamp showing 9:37 p.m. Then I opened my banking app. I had a joint account with my parents, set up when I was 18 to teach me financial responsibility. They made me primary contact so I could learn to monitor transactions properly. I kept $26,000 in that account. Every dollar from my work, campus IT, freelance web design, tutoring. 2 years of saving. First and last month's rent, security deposit, furniture, emergency fund. That was the plan. The app loaded. Account balance, $0.00. I stared at those numbers for 10 seconds. Zero. Zero. My throat went dry. Then I scrolled down to the transaction history. Posted today at 8:17 p.m. Venue deposit, Chicago Event Services LLC, for $200,000. Status, processing. My available balance, 0. My savings, gone. They had used my account, our joint account, to pay for Emily's wedding venue. $200,000 run through an account I co-owned, wiping out my money in the process. I checked my previous balance. Yesterday at 11 p.m., $26,143.17. Today at 9:43 p.m., 0. I took screenshots. Transaction. Previous balance. Merchant details with confirmation code. My hands stopped shaking. My breathing slowed. I didn't call them. Didn't text. Didn't scream. I opened my contacts and found the number for my bank's fraud hotline. 24/7 customer service. I had saved it 2 years ago when someone tried to use my debit card in Florida. I called. Automated system. I pressed 0 3 times until I got a human. The representative asked for my account number and the last 4 digits of my social security number. Then my full name and date of birth. "How can I help you tonight?" she asked. Her name was Jennifer. "There's a transaction on my account for $200,000, I said. My voice stayed calm. Flat. "I didn't authorize it. I'm a joint account holder. I need to dispute it and request a return." Jennifer asked me to confirm the transaction details. I read them off my screen. Merchant name, amount, date, time, confirmation number. "And you're saying you didn't authorize this payment?" "Correct. I'm a co-owner of this account. I didn't approve this transaction. My personal funds were in this account and now they're gone. I need this reversed." Pause. Typing, keys clicking. "Okay, I'm going to open a dispute claim for you. The transaction is still in processing status, so we can request a return before it settles. Can you confirm the other account holder didn't give you permission for this transaction?" "I'm not the one who made the transaction," I said. "The other account holders made it without my permission. They used funds from an account I'm a co-owner on." More typing. Silence for 30 seconds. "All right," Jennifer said. "I've submitted the dispute. Your claim number is ACH 7739102. You'll receive confirmation via email and text within 10 minutes. The transaction will be flagged for return. Most likely it will show as returned by tomorrow morning since it's still processing. What happens next?" "The transaction will show as return pending by tomorrow morning. The merchant will be notified that the payment was returned. If you're primary contact for alerts, you'll receive updates directly." I was the primary contact. My parents had set it up that way 2 years ago when they made me responsible for monitoring the account. All alerts came to my phone first. "Thank you," I said. Jennifer gave me a reference number and ended the call. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed twice. One email, one text. Both confirming the dispute claim and return request. Both showing claim number ACH 7739102, and estimated resolution time of 8 to 12 hours. I saved both messages. I took screenshots of both. Then I sat in my car for another 10 minutes. The venue would get the reversal notice tomorrow morning. My parents wouldn't know until the venue contacted them, and by then, it would be too late to fix it before someone else grabbed the date. Prime wedding season in Chicago. June date at a venue that charges $200,000 for a deposit. There was definitely a waiting list. I started the car and drove home to my studio apartment in Logan Square, the place I had been renting for 8 months with my own money while my parents told everyone I still lived in the dorms. 20-minute drive. No traffic. I parked in the lot behind my building. Went upstairs to the 3rd floor. Unlocked the door. Dropped my keys on the kitchen counter next to the microwave. My jacket went on the back of a chair. My phone went on the nightstand beside my bed. I set an alarm for 7 a.m. Then I turned my phone screen side down, switched it to Do Not Disturb, and lay down on my bed fully clothed. Shoes still on. I didn't feel angry, didn't feel sad, just cold, clear certainty. They disowned me in front of witnesses. Emily filmed it and posted it online for likes and validation. They wiped out my savings to pay for a wedding I wasn't invited to. And now, while they slept, the transaction was being reversed. The venue deposit was gone. They had no idea. I closed my eyes. Tomorrow morning at 8:47 a.m., my mother's phone would ring. But tonight, I slept. My alarm went off at 7 a.m. I sat up, made coffee, checked my banking app. The transaction status had changed from processing to returned, unauthorized. Available balance, $26,143.17. My money was back. I took a screenshot. Then I waited. 8:47 a.m. My phone rang. Mom. I didn't answer. Let it go to voicemail. 15 seconds later, she called again. I answered on the fourth ring. What did you do? Her voice was sharp, not calm anymore, not measured. The venue called. They said the deposit was reversed. Someone disputed the transaction. I didn't say anything. Are you listening to me? She said. The venue is giving our date to someone else if we don't pay by noon. What did you do? I filed a fraud claim, I said. Silence. 5 seconds. You what? I filed a fraud claim with the bank. That transaction went through an account I co-own. You didn't ask my permission. You wiped out my savings. Your savings? She laughed, sharp, bitter. That's family money. You don't get to... It's my money, I said. $26,000. I earned it. You took it without asking, so I reversed it. You selfish. She stopped. I could hear her breathing. Do you understand what you've done? Emily's wedding is ruined. The venue was perfect. And now, you'll figure it out, I said. I hung up. 2 minutes later, Dad called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. 37 seconds long. I played it on speaker. You need to call the bank right now and tell them you made a mistake. This is not negotiable. Call me back in 5 minutes or I'm coming to your apartment. I deleted the voicemail. Then I got dressed. Jeans, gray hoodie, jacket. I grabbed my keys and phone and left. I drove to my bank. The branch on West Fullerton Avenue, 2 miles from my apartment. I parked and went inside. The lobby was half empty. 3 tellers. 1 customer service desk. I walked up to the desk and asked to speak with someone about my dispute claim. The representative, a woman named Karen, pulled up my account, asked me to confirm my information. Then she printed 3 documents. 1. Dispute claim summary showing transaction details, merchant name, amount, and status. 2. Account statement showing my balance before and after the transaction. 3. Resolution letter confirming the transaction had been reversed due to unauthorized use. Each page had the bank's official letterhead, date, time, reference numbers. I folded the papers and put them in my jacket pocket. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Karen asked. Yes, I said. I need to remove the other account holders from this account. She nodded. That will require closing the current joint account and opening a new individual account in your name only. We can do that today. About 15 minutes. Do it, I said. 15 minutes later, I had a new account. Same bank. New account number. Only my name. My parents no longer had access. I transferred every dollar from the old joint account to the new one. Then I closed the old account. Before I left, Karen handed me a confirmation letter. New account details. Closure notice. I put that in my pocket too. By the time I got back to my apartment, it was 10:33 a.m. I parked, went upstairs, unlocked my door. My parents were standing in the hallway outside my apartment. Dad saw me first. His jaw was tight, arms crossed. Mom stood next to him. Her face was red, eyes swollen like she'd been crying. We need to talk, Dad said. No, I said. I walked past them to my door. Mom grabbed my arm. Please, just listen. I pulled my arm away. You said I wasn't your son. You said it in front of everyone. Emily posted it online. You don't get to show up now and act like we're family. We were angry, Mom said. Her voice cracked. We didn't mean... You meant it, I said. You planned it. You made it public. And then you used my money to pay for a wedding I'm not invited to. Dad stepped closer. That money was in a joint account. Legally, we had every right to use it. And I had every right to dispute it, I said. So I did. You're being childish, Dad said. This isn't about you. This is about your sister's wedding. The venue gave our date away. Emily is devastated. Brandon's family thinks we're irresponsible. Not my problem, I said. Mom's face twisted. How can you say that? She's your sister. She filmed me. She posted it online. She captioned it, "Cutting toxic people out." I'm the toxic one, apparently. So why do you care what I think now? Nobody said anything. I unlocked my door and started to walk inside. We need that money back, Dad said. Call the bank. Reverse the dispute. We'll pay you back later. No, I said. This is not a request, Dad said. His voice dropped. Cold. You're going to fix this. I turned around, looked at him. I went to the bank this morning. I closed the joint account. I opened a new account in my name only. You don't have access anymore. To anything. Dad's face went pale. Mom opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. You can't do that. I already did, I said. Then I stepped inside my apartment and closed the door. They didn't knock. Didn't yell. I heard them talking in low voices for maybe 30 seconds. Then footsteps. The elevator ding. They left. I sat down on my couch and pulled out my phone. 11 a.m. I had one missed call from Emily. I ignored it. Instead, I opened my contacts and found the number for a lawyer I'd worked with during an internship last summer. David Chen. He specialized in personal disputes. I called him. Left a message. Explained the situation in 2 minutes. Asked if he could send Emily a cease and desist letter about the video. He called me back 20 minutes later. I can do that, he said. Send me the video link, screenshots, and any documentation. I'll draft a letter and have it sent today. Demand removal within 48 hours. How much? I asked. $500 for the letter. Do it, I said. I sent him everything. The video link, screenshots of the post, timestamps, comments. By 1 p.m., David texted me. Letter sent via email and certified mail. I saved the message. Then I did something I should have done weeks ago. I logged into my employer's payroll system, changed my direct deposit information, new account number, deleted the old one. I updated my billing information for my phone plan, car insurance, student loan payments. Everything that was set to autopay from the old joint account, I switched to my new individual account. I changed my address with the bank, the DMV, and the post office. Made sure nothing would be sent to my parents' house anymore. By 3 p.m., I was financially separate from them. Completely. I sat on my couch and stared at my phone. No calls, no texts. Then, at 3:17 p.m., my phone buzzed. Emily. You sent me a legal letter? Are you serious right now? I didn't respond. Another text. Brandon's family found a new venue. It's not as nice, but it's available. We're fine. You didn't ruin anything. I still didn't respond. A third text. But congrats. You proved you're exactly what Mom said. Selfish. I blocked her number. Then I opened Instagram, checked her profile. The video was still up. Still public. Over 200 likes now. But the comments had changed. Someone had posted, "Wait, what's the full story here? This feels like there's more context." Someone else. "Why would you post a family fight online? That's weird." I took screenshots of those too. Then I put my phone down and made dinner. Pasta, garlic bread. I ate on my couch, watched a show on Netflix, some crime documentary. At 6:42 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Is this the account holder for the joint account ending in 4739? A woman's voice. Professional. Yes, I said. This is Monica from Chicago Event Services. I'm calling about a reversed payment. We received notice this morning that a $200,000 deposit was returned due to a dispute. I'm confirming whether the payment will be resubmitted. No, I said. It won't. Pause. I see. Can you confirm you're authorized to speak on behalf of the other account holders? I was the one who filed the dispute, I said. The other account holders no longer have access to that account. The payment will not be resubmitted. Another pause. Understood. I'll update our records. Thank you. She hung up. I sat there for a minute, stared at my phone. Then I got a text from an unknown number. This is Richard Morrison. We found another venue, smaller, less expensive, but Emily will have her wedding. You didn't stop anything. You just made yourself look petty. Don't bother coming to any future family events. You're not welcome. I read it twice. Then I saved the message. And I realized something. They were going to move forward. They were going to have the wedding. They were going to tell everyone I was the villain, the selfish son who ruined his sister's big day. They were going to rewrite the story, and I couldn't stop them. I put my phone down, turned off the TV, sat in the quiet. Tomorrow, they'd start making calls. To aunts, to uncles, to cousins, to anyone who would listen. They'd tell them I was unstable, vengeful, that I'd stolen money from Emily's wedding fund out of spite. And most of them would believe it. Because that's what they did. I closed my eyes. This wasn't over. I woke up Saturday at 6:30 a.m. My phone was quiet for the first time all week. Then an email came in at 6:42. Subject: Final planning meeting. Mandatory attendance. It was from the wedding planner. Her name was Lauren Heller. She ran a company called Heller & Co. Events. Emily loved saying her name like it was a brand. The meeting was at 9:30 a.m. Her office was in a glass building near River North. I didn't want to go. I went anyway. Neutral ground mattered. Witnesses mattered more. I printed everything before I left. Bank dispute summary. Resolution letter. Account statement showing $26,143.17 before the hit. I printed screenshots too. Mom standing with a champagne glass saying I wasn't her son. Emily's caption, "Cut toxic people out." The timestamp, the comments. I put the papers in a manila folder and drove downtown. Parking was $42 for 2 hours. Lauren's office smelled like candles and expensive coffee. White couches, gold frames, a wall covered in wedding photos. Emily was already there. So were my parents. And Brandon. And 2 people I hadn't met. Brandon's parents. Michael and Diane Spencer. Michael stood when I walked in. Mid-50s. Tailored blazer. The kind of guy who looked like he read every contract before signing. Diane gave me a polite smile. Tight. Controlled. Lauren clapped her hands once. Okay, everyone's here. Let's sit. We sat around a long table. Lauren opened a laptop. A spreadsheet appeared on the screen behind her. Guest list, payment schedule, vendor contacts. My mother spoke first. She didn't look at me. We need to fix the damage, she said, staring at Lauren. The deposit got reversed. The date was taken. We're scrambling. Lauren nodded slowly. Yes. Chicago Event Services placed your date back into inventory at 9:22 a.m. Friday. It was rebooked by 11:40. Emily made a sound like a choke. Lauren continued. Right now, you have a hold at a different venue, Lakeshore Loft. Deposit is $35,000. Due today by 4 p.m. Dad leaned forward. We can pay. Michael Spencer raised a hand. Before anyone pays anything, I have a question. Lauren looked at him. Of course. He turned his head and looked directly at my parents. Why was a $200,000 venue deposit paid from a joint bank account where your son is a co-owner? The room went still. Even Emily stopped fidgeting with her phone. Dad blinked. It was a family account. Michael didn't move. That wasn't my question. Lauren looked uncomfortable. She glanced at her laptop like she wished this was a simple seating chart argument. Diane spoke softly. We were told the account was an Emily wedding fund. I slid my folder onto the table. Lauren's eyes dropped to it. This is the bank documentation, I said. And the screenshots. Mom finally looked at me. Her stare was hard. I opened the folder and pushed the papers forward. Dispute summary, resolution letter, statement. Then I flipped to the screenshot of the transaction. Venue deposit, Chicago Event Services LLC, $200,000. Posted at 8:17 p.m., I said. Dad's jaw tightened. Lauren picked up the resolution letter and read it. Her lips moved silently. Michael leaned in and read too. Returned. Unauthorized, he said out loud. Emily snapped. Oh my God. Can we stop acting like he's a victim? He did this on purpose. He hates me. I reversed a transaction that emptied my savings, I said. There's a difference. Emily turned to Diane and Michael. He always does this. He always makes everything about him. Brandon, tell them. Brandon looked trapped. He stared at his hands. Lauren's phone buzzed on the table. She silenced it. Emily pointed at me. He was never really part of this family. Mom said it out loud because someone had to. That line hung in the air. Diane's face changed. Michael's eyes narrowed. What did you just say? Michael asked. Emily rolled her eyes. I said the truth. He hasn't been family for a long time. I pulled out my phone, opened Instagram, found the video. I turned the screen toward Diane and Michael. This is from the night of my graduation dinner, I said. Diane watched 10 seconds. Her mouth went flat. Michael watched the whole thing. Mom's voice filled the room. You're no longer our son anymore. Emily shifted in her chair, suddenly less confident. Michael set his hands on the table. So that's real. That was said. In public. On purpose. Mom lifted her chin. He pushed us to it. Diane looked at Brandon. You didn't tell us this happened. Brandon swallowed. Emily said it was complicated. Emily hissed. Because it is complicated. Michael turned back to my parents. And then, after disowning him, you ran a $200,000 deposit through an account he co-owned. Dad exhaled hard. Technically, the account was ours. He was on it for convenience. There it was, the fatal sentence. He looked at me when he said it, like I was supposed to nod and accept it. He was on it for convenience, Michael repeated, slow. So you used his money and expected him to stay quiet. Dad's voice sharpened. He should have stayed quiet. He's 22. He doesn't get to sabotage his sister's wedding because he got his feelings hurt. Lauren flinched. Emily smiled like Dad had finally said the right thing. Diane didn't smile. She leaned back and crossed her arms. Michael. Michael nodded once. Then he looked at Lauren. We won't be funding this, he said. Not until this is resolved in a way that doesn't involve financial games. Emily's head snapped toward him. What? Diane spoke, calm and deadly. We agreed to contribute $50,000 toward the wedding. We're pausing that. Emily started breathing fast. You can't do that. Brandon? Brandon finally spoke. His voice was quiet. Maybe we should. Emily stared at him like he had slapped her. Mom leaned forward. This is ridiculous. That's their money. They can do whatever they want. I tapped the papers. Exactly. And this was my money. I did what I wanted. Lauren cleared her throat. Okay, let's refocus. We need a plan for Lakeshore Loft. Deposit due by 4. Guest count max is 120. Emily blurted. It was going to be 240. Lauren nodded. Not anymore. Dad looked at Lauren. We'll pay the 35. Michael shook his head. You're missing the point. I stood up. Not dramatic. Just done. Here are my rules, I said. Contact goes through my attorney. No more showing up at my apartment, no calls, no surprise visits. Mom scoffed. Attorney? Yes, I said. Also, the video comes down. 48 hours. After that, we escalate. Emily laughed. You're insane. And one more thing, I said. My name is not going to be mentioned at your wedding. Not in speeches, not online, not as a punchline. Dad leaned forward. Or what? I looked at him. or you deal with the consequences. Quietly, the same way I do. Lauren stared at me like she was seeing a stranger in her office. I put the folder back under my arm. Diane spoke as I turned to leave. I'm sorry this happened to you. I nodded once. I walked out. In the elevator, my phone buzzed. A text from my Aunt Rebecca. Your mom is telling people you tried to steal from Emily. They're planning to mention you at the wedding, like a lesson about family loyalty. Please don't show up. They'll set you up. I read it twice. Then I drove straight to my office. I sat at my desk and opened my settings. Instagram. Deactivate. Facebook. Deactivate. I shut off notifications on everything else. One day of silence. One day where they couldn't bait me. I leaned back in my chair. Let them have their stage. I was done playing on it. I woke up Saturday at 6:30 a.m. and checked my phone. It was quiet for the first time all week. At 6:42, an email arrived. Final planning meeting. Mandatory attendance. The wedding planner, Lauren Heller, ran Heller & Coburn events in River North. Meeting at 9:30 a.m. I didn't want to go, but neutral ground mattered, and witnesses mattered more. Before I left, I printed everything. Bank dispute summary, resolution letter, account statement showing $26,000 before the transaction. I also printed the Instagram screenshots showing my mother's speech and Emily's caption. I put the papers in a manila folder and drove downtown. Lauren's office had white couches and gold-framed wedding photos on every wall. When I walked in, Emily sat next to Brandon, my parents across from them, and two people I didn't recognize at the end. Brandon's parents. The man stood when I entered, mid-50s, tailored blazer, the kind who reads every contract twice. His wife gave me a tight smile. Lauren said, "Everyone's here, let's sit." I sat at the opposite end from my parents. Lauren opened her laptop and a spreadsheet appeared behind her. My mother spoke first without looking at me. The deposit got reversed. The date was taken. We're scrambling. Lauren nodded slowly. Chicago Event Services placed your date back in inventory Friday at 9:22 a.m. Rebooked by 11:40. Emily made a choking sound. Lauren continued. You have a hold at Lakeshore Loft. Deposit is $35,000 due today by 4 p.m. My father leaned forward. We can pay. Brandon's father raised his hand. Before anyone pays anything, I have a question. He turned and looked directly at my parents. Why was a $200,000 venue deposit paid from a joint bank account where your son is a co-owner? The room went still. My father blinked. It was a family account. Brandon's father didn't move. That wasn't my question. Brandon's mother spoke softly. We were told the account was an Emily wedding fund. I slid my folder onto the table. This is the bank documentation, I said, and the screenshots. My mother finally looked at me with a hard stare. I opened the folder and pushed the papers forward. Then I read the transaction out loud. Venue deposit, Chicago Event Services, $200,000, posted at 8:17 p.m. My father's jaw tightened. Lauren picked up the resolution letter and read it silently. Brandon's father leaned in. Returned. Unauthorized, he said out loud. Emily snapped. Can we stop acting like he's a victim? He did this on purpose. I reversed a transaction that emptied my savings, I said. Emily turned to Brandon's parents. He always makes everything about him. Brandon, tell them. Brandon stared at his hands. Emily pointed at me. He was never really part of this family. Mom said it out loud because someone had to. That sentence hung in the air. Brandon's mother's face changed. Brandon's father narrowed his eyes. What did you just say? Emily rolled her eyes. I said the truth. I pulled out my phone, opened Instagram, and found the video. I turned the screen toward Brandon's parents. This is from my graduation dinner, I said. Brandon's mother watched for 10 seconds and her mouth went flat. Brandon's father watched the entire clip without blinking. My mother's voice came through the speaker. You're no longer our son anymore. Emily shifted in her chair, suddenly less confident. Brandon's father set both hands on the table. So that's real, said in public, on purpose? My mother lifted her chin. He pushed us to it. Brandon's mother looked at her son. You didn't tell us this happened. Brandon swallowed. Emily said it was complicated. Brandon's father turned back to my parents. And then, after publicly disowning him, you ran a $200,000 deposit through an account he co-owned. My father exhaled hard. Technically, the account was ours. He was on it for convenience so we could teach him financial responsibility. There it was, the fatal sentence. Brandon's father repeated it slowly. He was on it for convenience. So you used his money and expected him to stay quiet. My father's voice sharpened. He should have stayed quiet. He's 22. He doesn't get to sabotage his sister's wedding because he got his feelings hurt. Lauren flinched. Emily smiled like my father had finally said the right thing. Brandon's mother didn't smile. She leaned back and crossed her arms. Michael. Brandon's father nodded once, then looked at Lauren. We won't be funding this. Not until this is resolved without financial manipulation. Emily's head snapped toward him. What? Brandon's mother spoke calmly. We agreed to contribute $50,000 toward the wedding. We're pausing that. Emily started breathing fast. You can't do that. Brandon spoke quietly. Maybe we should pause. Emily stared at him like he'd slapped her. My mother leaned forward. That's your money. You can do what you want. I tapped the papers. Exactly. And this was my money. I did what I wanted. Lauren cleared her throat. We need a plan for Lakeshore Loft. Deposit due by 4. Guest maximum is 120. Emily blurted. It was going to be 240. Lauren nodded. Not anymore. My father looked at Lauren. We'll pay the 35. Brandon's father shook his head. You're missing the point. I stood up. Not dramatic. Just done. Here are my rules, I said. Contact goes through my attorney. No more showing up at my apartment, no calls, no surprise visits. My mother scoffed. Attorney? Yes, I said. The Instagram video comes down within 48 hours. After that, we escalate. Emily laughed. You're insane. And one more thing, I said. My name doesn't get mentioned at your wedding. Not in speeches, not online, not as a punchline. My father leaned forward. Or what? I looked at him. Or you deal with the consequences quietly, the same way I've been dealing with them. I picked up my folder. Brandon's mother spoke as I turned to leave. I'm sorry this happened to you. I nodded once. Then I walked out. In the elevator, my phone buzzed with a text from my Aunt Rebecca. Your mom is telling people you tried to steal from Emily. They're planning to mention you at the wedding like a lesson about family loyalty. Please don't show up. They'll set you up. I read it twice, then drove to my apartment. I sat at my desk and opened my phone settings. Instagram, deactivate. Facebook, deactivate. I turned off notifications on everything else. One day of silence where they couldn't bait me. I leaned back in my chair. Let them have their stage and their speeches. I was done playing on it. The wedding was on a Saturday in June. I didn't go. I woke up at 7 a.m., made coffee, and went to the gym on West Armitage. 30 minutes on the treadmill, then weights, chest and shoulders. I showered at home, put on jeans and a clean shirt, and met my coworker Jake for lunch at a Mexican place in Wicker Park. We talked about work, about a new project launching in August, about his girlfriend's birthday plans. He didn't ask about my family, and I didn't bring it up. At 2:30 p.m., while Emily was probably walking down the aisle at Lakeshore Loft, I was sitting in a bookstore on Milwaukee Avenue reading the back cover of a paperback. I bought it, along with coffee from the shop next door. Then I went home, made dinner, grilled chicken, rice, roasted vegetables, and watched a documentary about the 2008 financial crisis. My phone stayed face down on the coffee table the entire day. No calls, no texts, no social media to check because I deactivated everything a week ago. At 8 p.m., my phone finally buzzed. A text from my Aunt Rebecca. Wedding's over. It was fine. Felt cold, though. A lot of people left early. Emily looked angry the whole time. Your parents didn't mention you, but Everyone knew why you weren't there. Brandon's parents left right after dinner. I'm proud of you. I read it twice, then replied, Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate you being there. Then I put my phone back down and finished the documentary. Sunday morning, I woke up to another text. Mom. We need to talk. Can we start over? Forget everything and move forward as a family? I stared at it for 5 minutes while drinking my coffee. Then I typed a response. I'm not interested in starting over. What happened, happened. I'm moving forward on my own. Please respect that. I hit send. She didn't reply. Monday, I went back to work and focused on the new project Jake and I had been assigned, a complete system overhaul for a logistics company. It was tedious, technical work that required my full attention. Tuesday, I met with my bank and closed the last financial connection to my parents, an old savings bond they'd opened in my name when I was 10. I signed the paperwork to transfer it entirely into my name. The balance was $4,312. Not life-changing, but mine. Wednesday, I changed my emergency contact at work from my mother to Jake. Thursday, I updated my beneficiary information on my life insurance and 401k to name my Aunt Rebecca instead of my parents. Small tasks, but each one felt like removing a chain. Friday, I sat in my apartment and realized I'd made it through an entire week without thinking about them until that moment. That felt like progress. 3 months later, in September, I moved to a different apartment. Still in Logan Square, but bigger. A one-bedroom with an actual kitchen and windows that faced east. The rent was $200 more per month, but I could afford it after getting a raise. I didn't tell my parents the new address. I furnished the place slowly. Couch from a secondhand store, desk from IKEA, bed frame from Craigslist for $80. Nothing fancy, just clean, functional, and mine. Jake came over one Saturday to help me assemble a bookshelf, and we ordered pizza and watched a basketball game on my laptop. It was normal, quiet, easy, the kind of day I never had with my family. In November, my Aunt Rebecca invited me to Thanksgiving at her house in Evanston. Her husband cooked turkey, her 2 kids set the table, and we ate dinner at 6 p.m. while watching football. Nobody mentioned my parents or Emily. Nobody asked why they weren't there or tried to guilt me into reconciling. At the end of the night, Rebecca hugged me. You're always welcome here. This is your family, too. I believed her. In December, almost exactly 1 year after everything started, Emily sent me a friend request on LinkedIn. I looked at it for 10 seconds, then clicked ignore. 2 days later, she sent a message. Brandon and I are doing well. The wedding was beautiful despite everything. I hope you're happy with your choices and the bridges you burned. I read it once, archived it without responding, and blocked her account. By January, a full year after my graduation dinner, I'd built a routine that didn't include them. Work Monday through Friday. Gym 3 times a week. Dinner with Jake and his girlfriend Sophie every other Saturday. Occasional lunch with my Aunt Rebecca on Sundays. I wasn't rich. I wasn't famous. I hadn't built some empire or gotten revenge that made headlines. I just had peace. And a bank account that only I controlled. And an apartment where nobody could show up unannounced. And a phone that didn't ring with demands disguised as concern. One Saturday morning in late January, I was making coffee when I thought about the graduation dinner for the first time in weeks. I remembered sitting in that private room at Gibson's Steakhouse, surrounded by my entire extended family. I remembered my mother standing up with her champagne glass. I remembered her voice, calm and measured. You're no longer our son anymore. I remembered the silence at the table. No one defended me, no one said a word. I remembered Emily holding up her phone, recording my face for sympathy online. I remembered walking out into the cold Chicago night. And I realized something as I stood there holding my coffee mug. She was right. I wasn't their son anymore. Not because they said so, but because I chose to stop being the person they'd tried to control for 22 years. I poured my coffee and sat by the window, watching the morning light spread across the floor. The family I was born into was broken and probably always would be. But the life I was building, one paycheck at a time, one friendship at a time, one quiet Saturday morning at a time, was mine. And that was enough.